like to give it a minute to start warming up here.
Thing.
So we are just gonna dive right in. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching today's episode of The Show Must Go Online. Today's guest is Anna Villafañe. How are you doing?
I mean, all things considered, I'm good, I'm healthy, I'm safe, so I'm grateful for that.
Yes, yes. I think
This
that's
is great.
totally. It's
This is
such a
great.
weird time to be like, I'm great, but you have to take
Yeah, I
moments.
mean, yeah, great is a strong word. Obviously, all of us are going through this and whatnot, but there is a lot going on, and I think that I'm definitely on the lucky end of the spectrum. So I'm glad for that. It's a tough day for theater people because it was just announced that the shutdown is extended to September 5th, and even that I think is honestly being kind of uh, risky. Like I don't know that that's even true, but it's it's tough. It's like, when has Broadway ever been shut down for this long? And I wasn't even in a show right now, but like still, just the thought of it. It's like part of New York. It's part of the tapestry of like normal life.
Right.
So it's really sad, and I have a lot of friends who are hurting and a lot of friends that are missing their shows. I think about, had On Your Feet still been going on, or had I started my next project already, I'd be a mess. So kind of feeling all that, today's like heavy.
Yeah. No, that's so valid. It's when they first said like it'll be back April 13th. You're like, no, it won't. And
There are too many people all up on each other, and like think about, because everyone automatically thinks about like the actors, but the orchestra, think about the audience, obviously the ushers, the concessions, the dressers, the crew. Like it's such a huge army back there. And I think that even if people were like, oh, what if you take temperatures at the door for the audience? I'm like, it's not necessarily only about the audience. Like the actors need to feel safe to go to work. The actors need to feel safe to go on stage. The people backstage need to be safe. Like it's a whole living, breathing organism of many, many people.
And that's what's the craziest part about theater, right? Is the live atmosphere and the way you connect with people is what makes it so great, and also what makes this so tough because you just don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely it's strange and it's sad, but I mean, if anybody can be resilient, it's definitely theater people, artists in general who go gig to gig and don't know where the next job's going to be or the next paycheck's going to come from. I mean, that's kind of, the rest of the world is getting on our level right now. It's like the rest of the world now knows what that feels like, to be at home waiting for your phone to ring to say come to work.
It's so crazy to think, and there are a bunch of people tuning in being like, yay, and like, preach, Anna. The one thing in these crazy times that's been helping me is like having the videos, right? Being able to chat, or like, I've been posting a lot when you perform 96,000 at Viva Broadway.
Yeah.
Like having moments where, while Broadway is the best when it's live and in person, there are some nice moments that you can still like look at older videos.
I think that theater kids are definitely being fed with all the virtual content, myself included. Like, when Cynthia Erivo decides to sing something in her living room, I'm like, do it again. But like stuff like that, I think that it's a fine line, because for me, for example, it doesn't always feel authentic to do that. Like I like being on stage. Like singing for me is very specific. So it's like acting is a different animal. I'm being a different person, whereas singing as myself just feels weird to me. Like it's like, that's like not what I do. Had I wanted to do that, I would have been a recording artist. But I like to sing in characters. So it's very interesting. I think everybody's figuring it out on their own. And there's no like right or wrong answer, like whether you're putting out content nonstop or whether you're kind of taking a moment to calibrate as a person, and then you'll come back stronger whenever the new normal arrives. Because like it's a lie that we'll ever go back to normal. I think that things will just be redefined and we'll just have to adjust.
That's such a good point. Even like, it's so weird to think of this timeline of how, we weren't sure how long it would be. And now with September 6th, like we have no idea when we're going back. And for the first like 2 weeks, I just like, I sat on the couch, I read, I played with the dog, like I was like, I don't want to talk to people like on video. I don't want to put makeup on and a dress, like, but then finally it was like, well, I'm going to be here for a while. What new things can I do? And like, I know you were on Dr. Drama's. I love Lisa.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
And sometimes it's good to just like, what are you feeling? Like everything is so valid, right? Are you feeling like singing? Are you feeling like talking to people? Like don't force it just because you should be doing it, because there is no should.
Exactly. And there never was. So I think it's like we're all just kind of learning in it. And if we can stay humble and kind of roll with the punches, then we'll be in a better spot than trying to control things that we can't control anyway.
Yes, exactly. I have a lot of anxiety, so trying to control stuff is the thing.
Me too. And it all switches up. Like I'll be like tired throughout the day, and then at night, I like the second I get in bed, it's like my brain just starts running and racing, and I'm like, what? It's hilarious. So you have to laugh. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Right. Exactly. Sometimes I like to listen to music or a podcast so that my brain isn't able to like tell me what I should be thinking of or doing. I don't know.
For sure.
That's for me.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
But sorry, sometimes there's that weird like,
No, it's okay.
And it is such a weird day of Broadway being postponed, but also Hamilton coming like July 3rd.
I know. What a gift. I mean, come on. I think I saw it like 4 times on Broadway. But the first time was the original cast back in the day, like right before we were doing previews. And I was asked, I remember getting an email from one of our producers from On Your Feet being like, do you want to go see Hamilton? And how many tickets do you want? I was like, yes. And I went with like my sister and my then boyfriend, now my ex, but like, and we like sat there and it was just like, we were like 3rd row and it was just so magical. And I'm so excited to see it again and to get to relive it again and for other people to relive it, even if they've seen other casts, even if, they know the album by heart. I think it's one of those intangible things that like you capture lightning in a bottle, So yeah, I'm really excited. Plus like, those are all like family, like we were all next door for all those years. So it like they would come to our theater for Saturday night on Broadway parties because our theater is newer and bigger and like nicer. So the Marquis and the Rogers being next to each other. So it was definitely a special moment in time and like in theater history, like that show, I mean, changed everything. It made theater so much more relevant again in pop culture and translated theater to like being cool in a different way. Not that it ever hasn't been, in my opinion, but like, it brought it back on the map in a different way. The same way Rent, I think, did in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's really cool. And I'm so excited to see it. And of course it's going to be on Disney Plus, which I'm obsessed with. So yeah, it's awesome. Plus you can't really recreate what happens with an original cast, I think.
Right.
So I think that's going to be very special. And for a lot of them, it'll be really special too. So cool.
That's amazing that with On Your Feet being right next door, like having that connection and then working with Lin later. Sure.
Yeah. Well, and also Lin, so we were all kind of like theater cousins because a lot of our cast was in Heights. So Andrea Burns, who played my mom, was of course the original Daniela in Heights. So like, that's one huge thing. Eliseo Roman, who played my dad, was the Piragua guy in Heights. All pretty much like half our ensemble, like everybody, like, so there were so many little connections and Lin, for whatever reason, took me under his wing from the get. Like I got to New York and I would go to events and like nobody knew who I was. Obviously, like the show hadn't opened yet and I had barely just been announced on the Today Show. And it was like, he would, from the beginning, he made it a point to be like, oh, that's my girl, come here. And so like I would like be sitting next to him at things, or he would make it a point to say hi when like I didn't know anybody else in the room. So for me, it's almost like he's like my godfather, my Broadway godfather. because he was just so kind from the beginning. And like, it was one of those like, oh, I see you and you're new here and I've been new here. So I'm going to treat you like how I would have wanted somebody to introduce me to this world back when I was starting out or whatever. So it's really kind of cool.
That's awesome to have a Broadway godfather who's Lin-Manuel Miranda. That is.
Yeah, I can't complain. I cannot complain. That's for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. I could only imagine, what was it like when you were going like to work and you would see those Ham for Ham crowds?
I mean, we did one. We did Ham for Ham. Everybody that was on Broadway at the time, we'd all the cast would come in and do a Ham for Ham. It was insane. It was literally next to our stage door. So like every single day, I mean, I remember like catching up with like Anthony or something like on the way, just walking that 45th Street, 46th Street craziness where you can't even drive through that street anymore because of Hamilton, because of Ham for Ham, because the mobs, it would just be mobs and mobs and mobs. And then once we were open and once we were a thing, it was like, I couldn't walk through there at all. So it was just, it was a really magical time. It was a magical time, and I'm convinced that it'll come back. I'm convinced that that there will be plenty more stories like this about future shows. Like like Six is going to be huge, Almost Famous when it comes in. And it just sucks to see so many people like stall and like the momentum and the work that you put into it, and then for your show to be either almost open, Doubtfire. You look at all these shows that were either about to open, or in my case, like, I was workshopping 2 different projects, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I know what it's like already. So I have that piece of myself satiated already. But, I look at Beetlejuice that won't be able to even close their own show. And I mean, Brightman's fine, but like, I think about the kids, I think about, so it's a lot more than just, oh my God, yeah, like no Broadway shows. Like there's people's entire livelihoods and years of training and just like all of the dreams, and both on the receiving end and on the creating end. It's a lot of hearts, currently trying to mend about that, I think. But I believe that it'll come back and stronger, because now you can't. TV is amazing. Film is amazing. I love working in that medium. It's different, but it's the same in so many ways. But you can't fake, or you can't like digitally feel the same experience of live theater. Right. And you can't digitally feel what it's like when you're sitting there and it's dark and the orchestra starts tuning and you're about to have the overture. And then when the curtains come up and the lights and the whole situation, when everybody collectively takes a breath when something surprising happens, I'm like really sad about it, to be honest with you.
I know.
So I'm hoping, it comes back stronger than ever, because people know now what it's like not to have it, and what it's like, we take for granted that experience, that collective experience, the communion with the actors, all of it. So I'm excited. It's going to be tough to choose which one to go see the night it all comes back.
Yes.
My next one, I was supposed to see Jagged Little Pill. I still hadn't seen it, and I was supposed to see Jagged Little Pill like a week after it all shut down. I was going to go on the Friday, and that was devastating, because Derek and Catherine are 2 really good friends of mine, especially Catherine, and yeah. So I think maybe that'll be the one when it all comes back. I'll be the first one in line to go see Jagged Little Pill and just like cry. All those opening numbers, that whenever it does open up, I love to like just think in my mind's eye about like the power of those opening numbers when it does come back. And like, oh, my mind explodes.
I've thought about that moment so much, and also what you were saying about like which one, right? Like Hamilton, which is probably my favorite musical, and I've seen it around the world, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it on Lynn's birthday in Puerto Rico, which was great.
As one does.
As one does. And then he retweeted me, and my heart went boom. And then we saw
I see that. I see the little line. I got it.
I can't help it. It's just nonstop. And then we saw it in London for my birthday this past year.
That's awesome.
So it's just like a really cool thing to see, like the different companies. And speaking of company, like similarly to what you were saying about Jagged Little Pill, like I was trying to see it maybe first preview, and then tickets were so crazy expensive, as you could only imagine.
I mean, because hello.
Addie.
Not only is it that show, but like that cast, I'm obsessed.
Absurd. And I keep thinking about like, oh, well, if I knew that I wouldn't be able to see it for months, I would have just spent more money, right? Like, there's no way of knowing that. But now moving forward, it'll be like, is this something you really want? Okay, well then you like that, treat yourself, you know?
Yes, treat yourself. Also just priorities. I mean.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanna say hi to a lot of people commenting at home. They are awesome. Thank you for being here and saying hey. Annie Cog, I don't know if that's like a cool one name or just like a little YouTube name. On Your Feet was absolutely amazing. Yes. Kira says, On Your Feet is still my top musical. It's done so much for me than I ever thought a musical could.
Same. Same. We are twinsies in that.
Yes. And then
also similarly, I have watched On Your Feet. I have watched 8 different Glorias. I've seen it in Chicago on tour. I've seen it on Broadway. I saw every single one of my understudies and took them flowers, mind you, which is kind of against the rules, but I'd go like super incognito and I'd just be there crying in the back, like in the mess, and just take them flowers at the end. I saw every single one of my understudies on Broadway. I saw it on tour here, and I saw it 3 times in the Netherlands. Yeah. And that's so random. And I was supposed to see it on tour in the UK now, you know, during this time, because they would have closed, I think, like a week ago or something, and just devastating that they had to end their run prematurely. But yeah, so I've seen it. I understand the whole seeing it all over the world and how the message, if the message is authentic and the message is good, it's so clear. Like even when I was watching it in Dutch, they're like, you know, speaking Dutch. And I'm there in the audience, like feeling every feeling, feeling all of the, you know what I mean? Like it was amazing.
Now, do they sing it in Dutch or do they sing it how Gloria sang it?
No, they sing most of it in English and in Spanish, like the little pieces that were in Spanish as well. But then the actual show, like the dialogue was in Dutch. Yeah, it was super cool.
I was just trying to think of like a Dutch accent singing Spanish.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it was amazing. And they really killed it. And what I loved was that then you see like when you're overseas watching a show like that, which is so specific about the immigrant experience in the United States, and obviously about the Cuban immigrant experience. Like, so it's a really, really small, like it's very specific. But I loved that too, because I saw my culture being studied and then mastered and honored by people who have nothing to do with it, you know? And so I think that's really beautiful. And that's when you know that it's a universal truth. And that's when you know that the story works and that the story transcends any kind of cultural limits or even obviously geographical, whatever. All the limits, no limit. The limits do not exist. Nice. Which reminds me, I wanted to see Sabrina Carpenter and Renee and Christina and all these people, you know, with Mean Girls too. So it's like, you know, we'll get our fix.
Yes,
I believe it.
Yeah, Mean Girls is so interesting. I was just right before the shutdown. I also do some freelance work as a videographer. And so I filmed the last curtain call of some of the cast members leaving, and then the first curtain call for Sabrina and like the new cast members. So it was this very odd and cool experience to see like the end of like an original cast, the beginning of a new one, and just like seeing how passionate the audiences were for both.
Yeah, again, transcending anything that you would think. You know what I mean? Like if it works, it works.
Yes, exactly. So I'd love to like talk about what it was like working with Gloria Estefan and like how the two of you went to the same Catholic school growing up, right?
An all-girl Catholic high school. Yes. Yeah, I mean, so first of all, she didn't know that when I got the job and all of that. So that was a fun revelation for her. She always says it was written in the stars. I don't think I could have chosen a better like lifelong mentor slash friend slash person to dedicate so many years of my life to like honoring their story and to just like not making it about me and making it about them. Because if she were a bad person, I don't think I would have lasted that long.
Yeah.
If she were, I don't know how to explain, if she were any less like down to earth and cool and just real, it would have been a very difficult job. And I think I would have been out like, you know, the first year-ish. But she was wonderful, and she's a boss. Like she reads every single contract. She's so incredibly intelligent. So it's, you know, she's both the emotional and the like mind of like the brains of the operation. So that was really cool. And what an incredible example in terms of like career wise, you know, she has always treated everybody with a lot of integrity and with a lot of dignity, like no matter what the position is. When we were at the White House with like, you know, that kind of people, or whether you're just like walking around and people want a picture, I've never seen her be rude or like short with anybody. She gives everybody like the same time and respect that they give her. And that's, I think, super cool. So, and then with me, I mean, it was funny, like our progression, definitely at first I was like, this is Gloria Estefan. Like I would like send her like emails that were like, dear Gloria, blah, 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 blah. And like, you know, perfect sentences. I would like send it to my mom to proofread it. Cause I'm like, I can't send Gloria Estefan like a shitty email.
Right.
And then now it's like, you know, just texting, being like, this is weird right now with like quarantine or like, or, you know, like normal things. But that's also a really beautiful part too. Like when you meet your heroes and they stop being this like mystical thing and they start being a human.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a really big lesson that has now transferred into my entire career, because anybody I meet, anybody I work with, like, which I've been so lucky to work with incredible people and to be like in the room where it happens, all the time. And it's that same thing of like treating everybody on the same level and making sure that that the humanity part is more important than whatever title or whatever they bring to the table in terms of like professional things or access or whatever it may be. So so she's awesome. A summary of the whole thing, she's awesome. She was awesome from the beginning. I remember there was a break. We had like a break when we were still building the show, like before Chicago even. We were at New 42 and we had a break, like a normal 10-minute break, and Emilio comes up to me and Josh. Josh and I were sitting there just like, you know, hanging out, taking a breath. And he goes, what are your shoe sizes? And we're like, and we tell them our shoe sizes, but we're like, that was so random. And after lunch, in comes Emilio he bought new sneakers for him, for Gloria, and for me and Josh. And he just bought sneakers. He's like, oh, we need to have good shoes in New York, blah, blah. I was like, what is happening? So it's like really weird things like that they just were automatically very generous, very kind, and like they didn't have to be there all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're Emilio and Gloria Estefan. You can go home. You can just do whatever you want and just kind of check in every month. Right. They literally were there every single rehearsal. If I was there from 10 to 6, they were there from 10 to 6. If I was there, you know, like anything that we did, they didn't just like show up for the cameras. They were there building the show. They had their opinions. They were it's personal. It's their story, you know? So, so it was really a really cool experience for sure. But it was amazing. And it's one of those things that like now that relationship is so rock solid, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm excited to see them after all of this because I want to go visit my family and they're all down in Miami. So every time I'm in Miami, go get sushi, go to the studio, go do whatever. But yeah, they're family now.
Oh, that's amazing. It seems like such a dream world to be able to just chat with them, but it is true. Like people are just people, and you have to like, to borrow from In the Heights, like just breathe. It's gonna be okay. You can just chat with them.
For sure.
Yes. I see Sarah's commenting, at closing, Gloria's bodyguard tried to get fans to stop asking for photos, but she was so nice, she kept saying yes. And then, they felt the love.
That's usually how it happens. That's usually like there are a bunch of people ushering her out of something, and she's like, and she refuses to say no to people or to be in any way rude or, like she'll be like, I have to go, I'll do it fast, but she'll do it.
Yeah, it is such a good like life lesson, I guess, for all of us, because before quarantine, like life gets so busy and you're running from, a show to a press thing to this and that. And sometimes, there's one person that you can make their day literally just by talking with them or taking a photo. It's so cool that human connection we were saying about theater. It is beyond theater, and even just having a stage door, right? Like you don't go to a movie theater and then, meet Paul
and
Rudd.
See that. Yeah, exactly. Although that'd be great.
True.
I love Paul Rudd, so.
Same. Fun fact, similar to your story, I got to interview Paul Rudd at his bowling event. Let me tell you.
That's amazing.
He has this like bowling event for SAY, which is the Stuttering Association for the Young. And which is a great like nonprofit, and I absolutely love them. And he was like, I did a role and he needed to learn how to stutter in a way that wasn't offensive and it was like accurate. And so then he got really involved and just like took this passion project into like building up this really amazing thing for Camp SAY. I actually like, I love this nonprofit. SAY is like the best.
Yeah, wait, that sounds amazing.
They're so good. And like Alex Brightman, a bunch of people like went. I'll let you know the next year they have this.
Yes, definitely.
And is
here in New York?
Yeah, it was in New York. It was at the 42nd Street. There's like a bowling alley kind of far off.
Where Broadway bowling happens.
So not there, but because that's like cool, right in the heart of it. It's like on like 11th or something, very far out. It was weird because
with like the pool tables.
The what?
With like the pool tables?
Probably.
I think I know it's on the Hudson.
Out much. What do I know? But
I think I've been there once. I went there once after Collective Rage. I had actually, the rapper Logic?
Yeah.
So he's like kind of I'm like his low-key vocal coach.
Okay.
I know, the most random thing you've ever heard. One of my best friends works very closely with him and is part of his crew. And one of my best friends from growing up. Yeah. And so when he came to see Collective Rage, they were all at that bowling alley that's like super west, right?
Yeah. All the way.
I know the one you're talking about. Cool. And so that's the last time I went. The only time I've been there was with my only voice student, which is Bobby, which is Logic.
If you're gonna have one, that's a pretty good one to have.
Gotta be a touring rapper.
Might as well. Ooh,
he's so talented though. Like one time we were at his apartment here and he just like sits down on the piano. Like he's such an artist. Wow. So I'm a very big fan.
Same.
Yeah.
This is actually part of my favorite thing of doing these live chats is like, I come up with all these like
random information.
Yeah, just like fun facts. I love fun facts.
Me too.
Yeah.
Pretty random.
Says hi. Shalom.
Oh, hi.
So glad you tuned in. So awesome. So I'm going to look at some of my notes. So, okay, I want to talk about...
I'm very excited, by the way, because I slept in a braid.
Ooh.
And somehow... Anyway, go on.
No, please. I know the feeling. I mean, this is my natural Jewish Brazilian...
Yeah, but your hair is naturally done. I have to do it usually.
Could not imagine.
Quarantine is a different situation, but...
I know. This is just... I don't have any of my products out here. This is so, like... little thing, but this is just conditioner, And it's very weird to just have conditioner. And I feel
Wait, where are you?
I'm in Washington State.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. This is where my boyfriend lives, and the day Broadway announced it was closing, I actually live with my grandma in Queens, which is
Oh,
awesome.
awesome.
But she just turned 91,
Yeah.
and being with the elderly was like not a smart idea right now. So
No.
this was like it was a win-win to like have a beautiful place out here with like a backyard and a dog and like very fortunate. Like I know, are you in New York?
I am. I am in the city. I'm on the Lower East Side. So it's but I'm here without any of my stuff. This is like my fancy sweatshirt.
I like it.
Thanks. This is like my nicer one.
Yeah.
I rotate like the same 6 gym outfits and then wash them and then put them on again.
Yep.
And then I borrow my boyfriend's sweatpants. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Although I think I'm now at the part of starting to shop online. I think that's going to begin like right after this call.
Yeah.
Because I'm so bored of my clothes, but I should just go to my apartment. I live on the Upper West Side. I should just go to my apartment and like fill a suitcase with like nicer, like just clothes to feel a little bit more like slightly more like a person.
Yeah.
Like jeans. But then again,
it's tough, I
might need a new size, so I might just buy some new ones.
Fair. I know, but I looked at my boyfriend, I was like, have I worn this dress in a video recently? No, is it okay?
There you go. Yeah, I have like a striped shirt that I wear when I do like lives or whatever. And I have like a shirt with flowers that I wore because I'm doing the Covenant House concert, which is coming out on Monday, which I'm so excited about.
So excited. Yes.
And so I wore my flower shirt for that. So,
yes.
So like I have to like remember.
Yeah.
There are more t-shirts.
I know.
Don't worry.
I know. We did a quarantine trip to Target, as I like to call it. Do you love
that's my love language. My entire love language is Target. If I'm in a bad mood, I could literally just walk around at Target and then it tells me what I need. Because then I don't even have to go there with any intention to buy a thing.
Right.
I would leave with whatever the universe needed me to have. You know what I mean?
I do. This actually, I'm using it as like a little backdrop type thing, but it's it's like a sweater.
Quarantine is so weird. I love it. I'm so weird too. So this is like, I feel so free to be weird. It's great.
Weird,
Yeah, like all of this like playing normal all the time. It's exhausting.
It is.
Exhausting.
Embrace your inner weirdo. It feels better.
Exactly. I actually almost went to Target yesterday, but it's just New York, like going on a journey like that. It's just, I didn't have time. That's like a 3-hour moment.
I could imagine. I mean, and it's so weird here because, I had the mask on and there were like a lot of people who didn't. And so you're like trying to play like in a maze where you're like, oh, and you're like zip zapping and hoping that nobody, and then someone starts to talk to you and you don't want to be rude, but also I feel like they're being rude by not wearing the mask.
Great to see you.
6 feet. Hello. Yeah, that was... It's this like weird adventure.
Yeah, I feel like we're all like in the Hunger Games or like some sort of crazy video game, and it's like every week it's like a new level.
Yeah. Oh.
I went out for a run and it started snowing, and I legitimately was like, "This is getting silly." Like the writers of 2020 need to chill because like no one's gonna believe this. Like this is gonna be in history books, and it's gonna be like that did not happen. There's no way.
I know when the murder hornets were announced, it was like, nope. Turn Jumanji off. Stop.
Unsubscribe from the murder hornets.
I know. And people have been asking if I see them here because I take our dog Slim out for a walk in the backyard, and this like.
Where are they from? Where are the murder hornets?
I don't know. I heard that some of them might be here. Someone who's like typing at home, maybe you can confirm or deny. I'm honestly.
Let us know.
Right. I'm trying not to think about it because I'm gonna be taking him out for a walk regardless, and I'm not really going anywhere else. So either I will get stung and killed or I will survive.
Don't even say that as a joke.
I know. Sometimes it's just easier to like go to the
extreme
and be like, this could happen. I really hope it doesn't. But, like, there's nothing we can do anymore, right? Like in a weird positive way, like you just can do what you can do. You can only control what you can.
Focus on what you can control, which is pretty much your reaction to all the craziness.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's been my actually, hold on, just on that subject. I went I got for our anniversary, I got my boyfriend this really cute like comic book notebook that he could write in, but had actual like comic book pages. And then I saw this, which is just this like Crayola ring. And it's so random. Okay. And it's so much fun.
Does it actually color?
You know, I haven't tried it. I just got it like 2 days ago, but they're like actual like
little color pencils.
Yeah.
Man, you don't know. I'm like obsessed. I don't know why. I think it's just every year we would like go school supply shopping before this year started, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm one of 4 kids, so like that was like going to Office Max was like it, right? And like the smell of new binder. And just like having all my little, but I was weird. I was like, the color pencils were a must. I was obsessed with Pentel markers in high school. Like my agendas were just works of art.
Yes.
I was a very big champion of the gel pen movement.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
See? You're just after my own heart. This is very on brand for me. So I'm with you on the ring, with you on the gel pens. That is 100%. That's me. Yeah. I get it. I support you.
Just like that extra color, it's just so much fun. Like I could be doing math with a black pen or purple.
Or glitter.
Or glitter. Or like the ones with the nice scents. There's
yes.
Stop possibilities.
God, now I just want to go to Office Max. No.
I'm just being such a bad influence right now.
Seriously. I'm going to DM you with everything I end up buying at Target now when I finally do go. Maybe this weekend.
I know. It's like, Anna Villafañe has messaged you. Why did you make me get all these things?
Seriously. Just be drowning in stationery stuff and like things I don't need.
Oh, the best. I love it. So,
right?
Yes, this seems like the perfect opportunity to take a break. And here,
getting me with all of it.
Thank you. Sing a little something.
Yes.
Wait, whatever comes into your head. We like kind of talked about it, but then also I was like, "Oh, do you want to sing?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah." So like, whatever.
Oh, that's right. I could do what genre? What are we thinking? Something
Broadway.
Obviously. Let me think. God, it just like runs the gamut. Yeah. I mean, how long? Like
it's up to you. I mean, it's
like a casual 16 bars.
Or you could sing a song. Like it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Like people have been doing different things. Some people like bust out their guitar and like, you know, sing something from that they've been in or something that they wish they could have been in. So that's kind of, it's usually one of those two, like just a song that's like always their like go to either karaoke or in the shower song.
Oh my God, I feel like so on the spot, even though we did talk about this at 4:50. I guess it's a toss-up. I could keep it in the whole Heights Hamilton world, doing either like Everything I Know or like, aren't you having Mandy on too this week?
I am. It's absurd.
Okay, so I should do Everything I Know.
It would be great. I wouldn't say no to this.
Okay. You did it again.
Oops.
Should I do?
Here, why don't you throw out some ideas? And there are people watching at home.
Everything I Know. Wait for It from Hamilton. I do a lot. Could do Bring Him Home from Les Mis. I love that song.
So true. People
I don't
saying
know.
Breathe. I'm just saying, I haven't heard you sing Wait for It, but like that's such a cool idea.
Oh, like my like like on the DL, the dream is for sure Aaron Burr. Like every time I think about who I would play in Hamilton, I'm like Aaron Burr, for sure.
Yes, I love that. So I think either breathe or wait for it or whatever you want. But now I'm like very much into wanting to hear wait for it. But that's just me.
Okay, let me think. Theodosia writes me a letter every day. I'm keeping her bed warm while her husband is away. He's on the British side in Georgia, trying to keep the colonies in line. Well, he could keep all of Georgia. Theodosia, she's mine. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. We keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. If there's a reason, I'm by her side. When so many have tried, I'm ready to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it. My grandfather was a fire and brimstone preacher. There are things that the homilies and hymns won't teach you. My mother was a genius. My father commanded respect. When they died, they left no instructions, just a legacy to protect. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. We keep living anyway. We rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. If there's a reason I'm still alive, when everyone who loves me has died, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it. I'm like hearing my like accompanist on the piano right now in my mind.
Oh, that was amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we do this fun. So like when it gets into the chorus part, we do like won't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. We keep living anyway. We rise and we fall. If there's a reason I'm still alive when so few survive, then God damn it, I'm willing to wait for it.
That was
an arrangement by Justin Ramos, who I went to music school with. I got a degree in opera. A lot of people don't know that, but he was my like go-to guy in school, and since then he's like still my go-to guy. He plays like Gypsy of the Year. He does all the like he did a lot of rehearsal piano for On Your Feet and auditions and stuff. Wow. But he's the best. He's the mastermind.
Amazing. Everyone's like, Anna's Burr, please.
When Broadway comes back.
Yes. Amazing. Yeah, I saw in an interview you once said that like Groff sauce had like the best, like just a slow little like 9 minutes in the whole show.
Seriously, exactly. And that's when I met him, we went to a bar Central in Midtown, and it was like that night was so random. It was me, Jonathan Groff, Cynthia Oak, and my friend Henry from On Your Feet, and my friend Hector too. And we were just like, it was like after the show, I don't even know what day it was, but we were sitting there and like Jonathan, couldn't drink. Me and Cynthia both, we like couldn't drink. We were having tea and whatever. And like, he's just like, you gotta get a gig like me. Like, this is where it's at. A little princess track. But he's the best.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And it's funny when we do these like live videos, because sometimes, there are those like backup that I'm like, ooh, I want to sing it. But also there's a delay and I don't want to get you up. So I was like, does she want me to?
Preacher.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so great.
Yeah, this is great. It honestly, like even what we were saying about anxiety earlier, like sometimes I overthink everything. And then when I just let it go and I just go like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, she's like, no, you ruined my song.
Yeah, I think that right now there's a lot of the good thing from all of this is learning to just be like, oh, whatever. Like, it doesn't really, who cares? Right. That was certainly not me auditioning for something. Do you know what I mean? Or like performing it at the Kennedy Center. It was just, yeah, we're in a living room. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
True. Do love Reese's. And I'm glad that you said Reese's and not Reese's, because then we would have had a thing.
Reese's. No.
I don't get it. Why would you say Reese's Pieces? Pieces.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it's Reese's. Also, it's possessive. It's an apostrophe. Reese's.
Reese's. Yeah. I was just trying to see. I just had Reese's like yesterday.
Did you really? I'm so jealous. You're having like aloe water. I had broccoli today.
You're so fancy. This is my sparkling water.
Reese's are fancy. Ooh, a chalice.
Yes. I like to have a chalice at every live chat because it just makes me feel fancier and, you know.
Yup action.
Thank you. You know. So what was that like performing at the Kennedy Center? Like how did the like auditions work? And you were with Anthony.
What are we talking about?
Oh, in the Heights.
Oh,
but I guess you also performed at the Kennedy Center Honors. Did that happen?
I performed at the Gershwin Prize. Oh. So Kennedy Center Honors, I was actually in LA. But the Gershwin Prize I did at the Kennedy Center, and that was like amazing. But and then for Heights, but that was, you know, coming back.
Right.
So Heights was, first of all, there was not really an audition process. It was supposed to be a staged reading. That's incorrect. It was a full out production. But it was a DM that I got and from the team saying, do you want to be Nina or Vanessa? And I was like, well, and at the time, I had just shot, or I was in LA doing a pilot that was going to be over by the time the show would happen, by the time rehearsals would start. But I had moved out of my apartment here, so I didn't even have a place here. And I got that DM and I was like, dream. Okay. Amazing. But I chose Nina because it was a little more different than Gloria in terms of like, people I think would expect me to play Vanessa right after On Your Feet. Like that like makes sense. Like the dancing and like, she's more like whatever. And so I wanted to kind of be the soulful side and show like the Park and Bark side. And then, yeah, Anthony came into the picture the night before we started rehearsals. The guy who was going to play Usnavi broke his ankle. And then Stephanie Clemens, who directed it, and who, you know, is a goddess, she was directing Heights, and she just sent him a text, I think, or called him and was like, listen, this is like so last minute, but would you mind coming in and being Usnavi for this like limited run at the Kennedy Center? And he said yes. And so he shows up the next, so we didn't realize, I mean, we all showed up at work and it was like, all right, this is the cast. Like, but yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And it was a huge reunion for me with a lot of people. Eliseo again, because he did play Pirawa guy in our production. Carlos and Henry from On Your Feet. A bunch of people who just, it was a really nice, it was just a very magical group of people. And it was also a magical like time period. And it was weird because since I didn't have a place in New York anymore, one of my dearest friends, Jen Sanchez, who lives in Astoria, she was out of town doing Pretty Woman. So she's like, just have my keys. So I was like living at Jen's place and taking the train into Midtown for rehearsals. I had never lived anywhere except Midtown or anywhere except Manhattan, really. Right. And I took those, it was like, what, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, I don't know. But it was kind of amazing. I felt so like legit. And I was like staying in my friend's apartment. So it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt very like real. Also, I had never seen the show. I was the only person in the cast who had never even seen the show. I mean, I've listened to it my entire life, but so I know like the vowel placement and the breaths that Mandy takes on the cast album, but I had never seen it done. So I didn't even know there were lines.
Yep. So I finally saw it. They filmed it for Lincoln Center for the like the library. And because In the Heights was, the movie was being released, I was like, oh, I'm a journalist. I can like request to see it. So my friend and Anna actually, and I saw it. And the two of us just went and watched the whole thing. And I was like, I didn't know there was dialogue.
I know. And so I'm there like learning. So it was also kind of nice though, because from the actor's perspective, like I never got to base my performance on anybody else. Like I had not even seen like a community theater production of,
Wow.
or like a school version or whatever. So so it was really cool to be able to like create this iconic role, but like to create it for my own little for the purposes of that production. And that was kind of like a really special gift. And what an amazing situation to have Anthony on the other, you know, to have Anthony as like my like cousin, and to have Stephanie guiding me through it from like the OG like original Broadway cast and whatever. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
I would love to be in that room where it happened.
Your Hamilton references just get me every time.
It is like almost a problem, but it is what I've learned to accept it.
It's not a problem at all.
I love it. I love Steph Clem. I covered the Katie's Art Project event, and so I'm a big fan. I think she's awesome, and I love what they're doing with all of that. It's just like, it's so cool to see the theater community give back in those ways. And I met a bunch of Hamilton people like Fergie, and, you know, just, it's absurd. I've tried to be like, you know, this is my life now. I'm a theater reporter. I will be hanging out with theater people. But,
yeah,
you know, like, it's really cool.
It is. It's really cool. I mean, for me, going back to hearing their voices, you know, and every cast album. I mean, I was one of those people who would just pour over the cast albums growing up because I didn't really have like access to coming to Broadway or coming to New York. I grew up in Florida, and it was just like not what we did. But I would listen to every single cast album over and over and over. Like my dad would be like driving me to school, and he's like, if I hear, you know, only thing to do is jump over the moon. And he would like do it in his Salvadoran accent. And he'd be like, if I have to hear that one more time. But that's what I grew up on. That was like I lived and breathed it through the albums. I just sit in my room listening to it so loud. And then of course, every shower was a concert, and my poor family had to put up with it. But like, then to come into this world, and like I moved to New York with On Your Feet, and to be in the presence of these voices that I've heard forever, but I didn't even necessarily, I knew their faces, most of them, but I didn't know them by any means, but I knew their voices. And like, you know, having Andrea, who like in my head is like, you know, Carnaval del Barrio, and like doing scenes with her, and then having Eliseo Plim. I mean, when I first got the role of Gloria, my sister's first thing she said about it, she goes, and the Piragua guy's playing your dad. And I was like, I know, like, and I would just sit there, like in On Your Feet, our scene together, our big scene together, where he had his big song, because he has such a perfect voice, Eliseo Roman, you know, we'd hold hands, and I would just cry and cry and cry listening to him sing to me. And like, sure, I was acting, but like, Anna was also crying. Like Gloria is standing there crying about her dad, but like Anna was also low-key holding Eliseo's hands crying because it's Eliseo. You know what I mean? So it's so cool to then like, again, meet your heroes and like humanize it all and be like, oh my God, I grew up listening to your voice, and now we're talking, or we're getting a drink, or we're doing yoga together. Like, what? It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's so cool to see the passion just kind of go through the theater community, because like they were that person. Like in the story you were saying about Lin, like he was the passionate theater person, and now he's like the guy, right?
Like, exactly. And I think that's why it is so important to like come together even now, like when we can't, but like to try to bridge that gap and to like have really like conversations and to again humanize. Because when you see, you know, seeing people on stage or seeing people in, whether it's on like red carpets or like in magazines or whatever, like that doesn't feel the same as, like, I just feel like we've just like spent the afternoon together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've seen your gel pen collection. We're friends. You know what I mean?
You know, like I've had some like, you know, hangouts, but have you seen my gel pen? Like, come on.
Exactly. It's like, how well do you really know me?
Right. And
but
it's
it's
gonna be
great.
so great, like when everything eventually, because it's gonna come back, right? Like I'm not as much as I'll say like, oh, like I'll think about the worst, whatever. It's gonna come back. Broadway's not over. Theater's not over. There's too much at stake. There's too much beautiful community, and so many people depend on it. Like it's. I'm just saying, and putting that into the universe. It's coming
Well,
back.
and art form started in ancient Greece. Like if it hasn't ended by now, this is not going to end it, especially because we are we are so hyper connected, and we do have the internet, and we do have like, there's no way, like there are too many people who feel passionate about it to let it die, I think. Plus it's also a huge part of industry. Like it does make money. It's a large part of like the economy as well. So like, I think that when it's safe, and when it's safe for all parties involved, because that's what I worry about is people, wanting to chase a dollar and then jeopardizing the health of whether it's crew, like the actors, the audiences, everybody, like just everybody across the board needs to feel safe going to work. And I think that that's fair. At the bare minimum, like we're doing things to hopefully help enrich the lives of people. So we need to be protected as such. It's valuable.
Please?
Everybody now in quarantine is listening to music, is watching Netflix, is, watching bootlegs, watching whatever it may be, listening to cast albums. It's never been more clear how important the arts are to the life and livelihood of the masses. Yeah. So it's like, don't sweep us under the rug.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think, Cuomo is starting to be like, okay, Broadway's part of the conversation. Like, I'm not going to...
Totally. I mean, it's hard. Look, everybody has a lot of things. Like, the decision makers have a lot on their plate, and I do not envy any kind of government leaders right now, or anybody who is in the position of leading us all through this. Because I don't have the answers. I don't think a lot of them have the answers. Nobody has the answers. And that's the hard part. It's the question mark, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Wow. I feel like this hour just like flew by. It was amazing.
I love it. It was so fun.
I agree. I had the time of my life.
Thank you.
On your feet. Actually, funny enough, did you watch Parks and Rec or / do you?
Yeah.
So
are you talking about the entrance?
Yes.
So good.
I literally watched that episode like yesterday, and it was.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I feel like sometimes I'm Leslie Knope because I'm like such a nerd, like really at my core. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'm such a Leslie Knope, but yeah, it's a great show, and that entrance is spectacular. 10 out of 10.
Would recommend, yes. Oh, that was so fun. So I always like to ask people at the end of these, are there any nonprofits that you want people to keep an eye on?
How long you got? Yes. I mean, so obviously right now I'm very, very excited about the Covenant House thing ending youth homelessness, because it's something that I feel like we all know and we're all aware, but it's so sad that you kind of almost don't want to think about it, but we have to think about it, especially right now. Like, I think about every time people are like, oh, remember to wash your hands. And it's like, we have places to wash our hands. A lot of people don't. So like that is definitely at the forefront of my mind right now. So Covenant House is a big one. I couldn't fly out of New York because I have arthritis. And so, having a compromised immune system right now is super fun. Yeah. Not scary at all. And so definitely the Arthritis Foundation is like another very big one for me. And then I do a lot of work with the Salvadoran American Humanitarian Foundation. So my dad is from El Salvador, my mom is from Cuba. So I sit on the board of the Salvadoran American Humanitarian Foundation. We're doing a lot of work with that right now. And then for the last year, I've been building a program that was supposed to launch right now in New York called Radio Lollipop. And it's a full functioning radio station within a children's hospital on 165th and Broadway, New York Presbyterian. And yeah, we would have been launching right now. We had done 3 nights of service. We like basically believe in the power of play and like entertainment. So bringing music and entertainment and games and activities and stuff, basically distraction methods, but through music specifically to kids that are in the hospital. Wow. We had done 3 nights of service and then we got shut down, obviously, because of this, because in children's hospitals right now, and in hospitals in general, volunteer services are being cut off and they don't want more traffic because they have to prioritize COVID. So that's all the stuff I've got going on. It's kind of loud, but it's good. Yeah. I try to.
Yeah. You're giving back so much.
Mm-hmm.
So great. And as I mentioned, like SAY is great. Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS.
Of course.
The Actors Fund. We always talk about those. I feel like it's always good to just throw it back out there.
For sure.
And then is there anything else, like tell us where we can find you on social media and if there's anything we should like keep an eye out for?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
Cool.
There is stuff to keep an eye out for, but I don't know what I'm allowed to say. But anyway, I'm on Twitter at Anna V, and then I'm on Instagram at Anna Villafañe Official. And I'm like, I downloaded TikTok and I'm learning how to use it, but like I have a lot of stuff going on. I have like 3 deadlines by day after tomorrow. So it's like, wow. Eventually I'll learn TikTok, but I don't know. We'll see.
Excellent. We'll just have to wait for it.
I like what you did there. It's a slow burn.
Look at you. Get on your feet. Only I could hit that note. So yeah, everyone just keep an eye out for, we'll eventually hear something and that'll be super exciting.
But for now, make sure Monday, May 18th, May 18th at 8 p.m. on Amazon Prime Video. Yes. I believe it'll be on YouTube. I think it's one of the Broadway channels, and on Facebook it will be the Covenant House concert featuring like Meryl Streep and Bon Jovi and all these amazing people. But I'm actually really, really excited about it because I'm doing something that has never before been done. And I'm singing the only original song, but I can't say anything else. So yeah, Monday, 8 p.m.
Excited.
Be there or be square.
Be square. Yes. Okay. Well, clearly we'll be tuning in and I'll probably be live tweeting it. So just like everyone be aware about that. And then, so the rest of this week, we've got Al Silver tomorrow, Manny Gonzalez on Thursday, Lance Rubin. Next week, we have, oh my goodness, Drew Gasparini, Michael R. Jackson. What? Pulitzer Prize winner. Ezra Minas. This is just like,
hey, the show must go on, right?
Yeah, it must. It must. Cool. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. You can find all of this at bwaySHO.com. That's bwaySHO. Or on the playlist, The Show Must Go Online on YouTube, which feel free to hit the subscribe button. That would be pretty cool. And then if you're feeling a little fancy, I also have a Showtreon. That's a bwaySHO Patreon. And you can join on and get to hear about guests a little bit beforehand and get to have some fun with me there. So y'all are awesome for tuning in. Anna, you are amazing for doing this and singing. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. Stay away from those murder hornets.
Bye. Awesome. The stream has